Hey viewers and viewresses, my name is General Red Strategist and welcome back to some more SCP. As usual it's just me this time, but actually I'm having a recording session with Phil later and we're hoping to record a bit more of this, so a couple of episodes basically in one day. Now, before we get into the SCPs themselves, I've had a request to read this. Ambrose London Prefix. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Apparently this is a group of interest to the SCP Foundation, Ambrose Restaurants Hub. So we're going to read this and figure out what the deal is with this one in essence. So Ambrose London, 4-course prefix with optional wine selection. First course, cockatrice pot stickers, prepared with demanding care to ensure no poison is in the meat. Ambrose London is proud to be the first restaurant to serve cockatrice meat, noted for a sour and creamy taste, quite unlike any other. Followed by a option 2 for the first course, a baked potato bug, conceptually produced by a large potato. Whatever that is that an SCP or something? Yeah, it's at 4420. These crickets are entirely composed of potato matter and deep fried for flavour, garnished with bacon, sour cream, onion and melted cheese. Or option 3, yesterday's bruschetta, grilled toast topped with olive oil, tomato and mozzarella. All ingredients used in the making sourced from at least 100 years in the past, using time travel techniques, allowing for different tastes compared to today. Okay, so this is basically a restaurant that's serving weird anomalous culinary options, that's what I wanted to say. Second course, the Eternal Stew is your option 1. This is not your grandmother's perpetual stew, one that has only lasted for a month or two. Ambrose London has acquired an Eternal Stew, which has been in production for over 2 millennia, giving it a one-of-a-kind taste, 2,000 years in the making. Or you can have the Luna Gruyere Fondue. The moon might not be made of cheese, but the demons of Lavania are renowned for their dairy products, served with a rotating selection of types of bread prepared fresh in-house each day. Or option 3, you can have an, let me see if I can get the pronunciation correct, Alexilvan corn soup? Did I pronounce that right? Using a recipe sourced from the Culinary Institute of Alexilva. I don't know. This dish blends ancient Roman and American Cherokee cooking in an out-of-this-world way. Contains 3 varieties of corn, blended with cheese and honey. Okay, I guess probably people want to see me do my selection once I've read this menu. For the main courses, your option number 1 is crab-stuffed mushroom, a rare mushroom from a hard-to-reach forest in northern Oregon, stuffed with 3 different species of crab, including the Alaska King, the Marianas Blue, and the Greek Behemoth. Sweet and tender, with a subtle aftertaste. A popular selection at Ambrose, New York, not to be missed. Or you can have the caviar platter, a choice selection of 8 fine and exotic varieties of caviar, including, I don't know how you pronounce that, coelacanth? I've no idea. Salmon of Knowledge, Duros, and even an egg from the Kraken that attacked the Fey Isle of High Brazil in 1988. Oh god, that's taken to another story by the looks of it. Kaiju Caviar OCN 39. Or you can have the 5 senses linguine, designed to induce temporary artificial total sensory synesthesia. Experience food on every level, taste, smell, sight, hearing and touch. An indescribable experience, served with a house-made pesto. Desserts, your first option, Dragon's Baked Alaska, prepared fresh at the table using the breath of one of our in-house Draconus domesticus, commonly known as the miniature domesticated dragon. The use of an organic flame gives the meringue a clean and smooth taste. Or you can have volcano cake. Using simple magical principles, this is a simple chocolate lava cake, which has been adapted to erupt with melted chocolate after being served. Has a dark, smooth taste, with a slight spicy kick. Or we can have Fruits of the Gods, a selection of rare and mystical fruits from all over the world, including underworld pomegranate seeds, Eldoradan golds, derived from the common orange, and brandy-infused strawberries. Ask your server for the current seasonal offerings. And your wine selection is as follows. You can have the Champagne of Youth, magically treated to ameliorate the effects of advanced age for a brief time after drinking, easing aches and pains, noted for a sharp taste with hints of ginger, best paired with the caviar platter. You could have a 1,000-year Merlot, urged in a temporal isolation vault with a vastly accelerated time differential compared to the norm, while the grapes used to produce this wine were picked last year. The wine itself is effectively over 1,000 years of age. Or you could have the Rubedo Reserve. For the more esoteric palate, Rubedo Reserve is transmuted from human blood using forbidden alchemy, noted for a distinctive taste with notes of blood, dry paper and a blue cheese finish. Ugh. Okay, base is 700 Great British pounds, with wine is 850. Footnote 1 disclaimer, this product is not a youth potion. Disclaimer 2, no humans killed in the making. Okay, so the question you might be asking me is, what am I selecting then for my meal? Let's see now. I think for the starter, I kind of like the yesterday's bruschetta, because bruschetta is quite nice, you know. So I'm going to go with that for my first course. For the second course, I think, I mean, the fondue sounds good. I've had a proper cheese fondue before in Switzerland, and it was pretty awesome. So I might go for the Luna Gruyere fondue for my second course. For the main, let's have a look here. I mean, the crab stuffed mushroom sounds pretty good. Yeah, I wonder if I might go for the crab stuffed mushroom. So I'll have the bruschetta followed by the Gruyere fondue, then the crab stuffed mushroom. For dessert, I think I might have the volcano cake, because, you know, I like chocolatey things and all that. So what would I then have for the wine? I mean, the champagne of youth sounds pretty good, though obviously it's not really best with the other selections. It's best with the caviar platter, but that could be fine. The 1000-Year Merlot could be awesome. I think I'd go for either Champagne of Youth or the 1000-Year Merlot, one of those. So there you go, there's my choices, ladies and gentlemen. Prepare to do your psychoanalysis down in the comments and see what you can figure out about my personality based on all of that. Let me know your thoughts. Now, what's this? Yowl.slp. Reviews hosted by Oneroy. London Underworld, 5 stars. If you're looking for fine dining, look no further than Ambrose's Restaurant, New London location. While other Ambrose locations cater to more plebeian clientele, Ambrose London is an upscale location in the heart of London itself, and is a prime choice for anyone looking for a nice dinner. I was recommended to Ambrose London by my Marshall, Carter and Dark sales representative, after particularly enjoying their selections at the Pretty Penny restaurant line, and some of their licensed food options with Ambrose restaurants such as the Phoenix a la Mode. That is also another article, apparently. I would consider this new location to be a worthy equal of those restaurants and an ideal choice for fine dining. Truly, I have no qualms to voice for this location. The service was impeccable and polite, the meals were cooked and served quickly, and everything was delightful in taste. Although pricey, the rarity of all the meals served more than justifies the cost. Where else in the world does one have the opportunity to dine upon Kraken eggs, or have a live dragon come to the table? Ambrose London offers an experience that cannot be rivalled or found anywhere else in the entire world. The dishes that I ordered under their excellent prix-fixe menu, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I don't know, which I found to have both good selection and pricing, with the baked potato bug, the Luna Gruyere fondue, the caviar platter, the Dragon's Baked Alaska with a bottle of Rubedo Reserve. Each was well prepared and absolutely delicious. While the baked potato bug calls to mind a different kind of establishment, one that caters to a somewhat lower clientele, I found it to be excellently prepared, and that the exotic origin of the bug made up for the base subject matter, or naturally generated along with conceptual potato-based matter, spawned from what may be the conceptual idea of a potato. As such, this was the best execution of the dish possible. My only negative word to say concerning Ambrose London is that I was not able to eat everything. As such, I eagerly await my next visit. Wow, this is a person who hashtag am very smart, the way they've written that. 3 Portland's Times, 4 stars out of 5. Easily accessible from 3 Portlands through Isle of Portland entrances. Short walk from train station once within London. Reservations not currently long, but anticipated to grow quickly. May reach several months in advance. Service impeccable, food to match. Vegetarian options at every course of Fipri. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Although generally only a single option. Adequate full menu contains more options. One menu option, baked potato bug, could be labelled more clearly as non-vegetarian. While composed of plant matter was previously sentient organism. Dish served with bacon, could have noted that it is not veg without bacon. Yesterday's bruschetta did not taste significantly different from a modern version of the dish. Tomato slightly different in taste, otherwise similar. Elixilvan soup was suitable. The recipe may have been from out of this world, but the flavour was fitting to this world. The 5 senses linguine made up for the mediocrity of the previous 2 servings. Completely foreign experience and rather pleasurable. Would not recommend for all, however. Fruits of the Gods was a good selection, with the name suitable for the fruit served. Good selection all round. 1000-Year Merlot exquisite in contrast to the bruschetta. Alternate temporal origin worked better for this dish, complemented and enhanced it well. Wine paired well with other courses. And finally we have a 1-star review from the Holy Grail. I had the worst diarrhea of my life after having the 4-course prefix. I ordered the baked potato bug, the eternal stew, the crab stuffed mushroom, and dragon's baked Alaska. Uh-oh. Well, I went for the crab stuffed mushroom, didn't I? Am I about to get diarrhoea? It all started very soon after I got home that night. Almost immediately after I did, I was struck by this horrible pain in my stomach, and I rushed to my bathroom as fast as I could. I spent the next 3 hours in absolute agony, as my bowels ripped themselves apart, bound themselves back together, and like Prometheus, mercilessly repeated the process 100 times. I began to hallucinate that I was not alone in my bathroom, but grappled with a vision of 1,000 demons in hell, like Dante. 1,000 monsters surrounded me, menacing me. This may have been nothing more than a hallucination, but it was horrifying. And then, in a final moment of horror, there was a torturous moment of agony as my bowels emptied themselves, which seemed to last for no less than 100 years. The time on the bathroom clock and its taunting menace did not change. With that completed, I have but a singular memory of collapsing unconscious onto the floor of my bathroom, blacking out. During my blackout, I had a vision of eternal and heavenly bliss. A choir of angels surrounded me, singing blessed psalms and delivering me from evil. I danced among the clouds, free from the pain and agony that had grappled me earlier. It was nothing short of divine enlightenment, and I have become a devout Catholic I've become a devout Catholic afterward. I woke up after that vision slumped in the doorframe of a Catholic church, a large part of the reason as to why I am now a Catholic, fully clothed and entirely clean. I quickly learned I was in Marrakesh, with no recollection of how I arrived there from London. I still do not know, to this day. I had to tear down and completely renovate my bathroom after the sordid events of that night, and I'm currently involved in a lawsuit against Ambrose Restaurants to pay for the damages. I do not recommend dining at any of their establishments. That being said, the meal was absolutely delicious. Okay. Oh, dearie me. Well, there's a bit more of a humorous one, that was. Obviously, the thing about the SCP universe is there's all these other organisations and various groups. Well, obviously, we've encountered Marshall, Carter and Dark. Now encountered this one, which I wasn't previously aware of, so I wonder when this one was written. But it's a little bit of humour right there for you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, well, that is that. This was requested that I read, and so there you go, to the person who requested that. Apologies, because it has been a good, couple of weeks now since I actually last uploaded an SCP episode, so you've been waiting quite a few days for me to do that, but we got there, basically, ladies and gentlemen. But without further ado, we're now going to get into more SCPs. Once again, I'm not going to do any anomalous items this episode, because me and Phil will probably do those in the recording session that I'm going to have with him later today, so that's what we'll do, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start with 071, the Degenerative Metamorphic Entity. Adult content, This article contains adult content that may not be suitable, aka sexual references. Well, yeah, sure. This is Euclid. Containment procedures are as follows. 071 is contained in a modified standard humanoid containment cell with no direct observation capabilities. Surveillance of 071 may only be performed via closed-circuit video with a minimum of 60 seconds of delay. Experimentation with 071 may only be performed with permission from at least 2 Level 4 site directors, and personnel entering 071's containment area may only do so in groups of at least 4. Any personnel exhibiting unusual or compulsive behaviour must be removed from the area immediately, given a full psychiatric screening, and either administered a Class C amnestic or reassigned as deemed appropriate. Under no circumstances should personnel be permitted to observe 071 directly or through non-delayed surveillance footage. All visual recordings and photographs of 071 must be destroyed immediately once they are no longer needed. Description: 071 is a metamorphic entity that possesses the ability to assume forms consistent with that of its observer's strongest sexual desire. This ability is effective, even though barriers designed to prevent 071's recognition of any observers, such as through closed-circuit surveillance or one-way mirrors, but can be prevented by introducing a delay in surveillance footage so that such observation does not occur in real time. 071 appears to be unable or unwilling to change form without external stimuli, instead remaining in its last form when left unobserved. There appears to be little or no limit to the forms 071 is capable of assuming. See Addendum 071-01 for additional information. 071 also appears to be intelligent. However, it has not shown any ability to verbally communicate, and its behaviour is limited to actions which entice its observers to sexual activity. It is unknown whether 071 actually possesses sentience or merely mimics behaviour expected by its observers. Human subjects allowed to engage in sexual activity with 071 suffered rapid atrophy of muscle, skeletal structure and brain function, with onset occurring 1 to 2 days after contact. The atrophy persists for up to 7 days, dependent on physical therapy administered after onset. though the subject may also suffer permanent decrease in stature, decreased organ function, decreased brain mass and sterility. Subjects who achieve auto-gratification through masturbation via the use of media containing 071, whether delayed or not, suffer the same effects. 071 came to the Foundation's attention on blank following data expunged. Due to ongoing medical cases consistent with exposure to 071, efforts to remove all visual recordings of 071 from the internet are ongoing. Addendum 071-1 Researcher Note: 071's ability to change forms does not appear to be limited to normal human subjects. On blank, when presented with subject D7883, 071 assumed the shape of a female golden retriever. D7883 reacted with shock and refused to proceed with the experiment, though the subject's physiological signs were consistent with a state of sexual arousal. Okay, someone's got a case of bestiality going on there, sure. On blank, 071 assumed the form of a female human corpse when exposed to D8762. Medical staff confirmed a complete lack of life signs, and 071 suffered no harm from the transition, later assuming the form of a blank year-old male, that is a single digit. That is not good when exposed to D8765. Dr. Blank. Ugh. Okay, so I mean, immediately there I can see why there's a disclaimer on this one, because basically there you've got references to bestiality, necrophilia, and, you know, the other one that we shall not speak of. Okay, so this is kind of, I'm guessing the person who wrote this sort of was probably thinking about sort of the idea of kind of uncontrolled sexual arousal and you know, dangerous paraphilia, is that the technical term for, you know, odd or dangerous fetishes, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a bit body horror as well, so it's a combination of things really, this one. Ew, creepy. Okay, well let's go on straight to 072, the foot of the bed. This is a safe object. Containment procedures. All known instances of 072 are to be contained in a 3.5 by 4 metre holding cell. Access is allowed only during authorised testing procedures. Without prior approval from Senior Researcher Grant, no materials created for the purpose of being slept on are to be introduced into a 15 metre vicinity of the holding cell. Description: instances of 072 first discovered in an apartment building in Blank, Michigan, after 2 local media reports on 072's effects caused a local panic, which drew the attention of embedded Foundation agent Blank. 072 is a shadowy and translucent projection which resembles a 0.9 metre long hand, the fingers of which taper to a sharp point. Detailed recording of 072 is difficult, as it does not manifest at light levels above 5 lux. Instances of 072 have only been observed to manifest when a human, hereafter referred to as the subject, enters REM sleep while located in a bed infected by 072 and leaves a foot or feet exposed to open air. If these conditions are satisfied, 072 will emerge from the foot of the bed and appear to use its pointer finger to tap on the subject's foot until they awaken. Subjects have reported that, at this point, they were unable to move, showing symptoms similar to sleep paralysis. This continues as long as 072 is visible. 072 will then use its pointed fingers to cut portions of flesh from the exposed parts of the subject's foot or feet. It will return to within the bed in between each removal, emerging without the collected material. This will continue until 072 has taken all of the exposed foot or feet, stopping at the ankle. Though subjects exposed to 072 report this process to be immensely painful, its paralytic effects render them unable to scream or call for help. It is unknown if manifestations of 072 feed on the collected material or use them for some other purpose. As long as the wounds are properly treated, 072's effects are not fatal, but have been observed to cause psychological damage relating to sleep in the future. There is also a secondary effect. Any bed within an approximately 10 metre vicinity of a bed which manifests the effects of 072 will also host an instance of 072. Destruction of a bed affected by 072 reveals no anomalous materials and no trace of biological material removed from subjects. Addendum: list of known 072 objects. 072-1, -2 and -3 recovered from original apartment complex, 3 twin-sized beds which were located within 10 metres of one another. 072-4, a king-size 4-poster bed contaminated during 072's time in Site Blank, temporary anomalous objects holding. 072-5, a sleeping bag with bottom removed, introduced to 072-1 for testing. When D2191 entered REM sleep and object, data expunged. 072-5 not recommended for testing in future. 072-6 and -7, beds introduced to 07-2 and later destroyed for examination. Remains of -6 and -7 appear unaffected, but are to be contained until further studies may be completed. Okay, so this is sleep paralysis. This is clearly the big inspiration of that one, because it's funny actually. A lot of people get sleep paralysis, but I don't think I ever have. At least not that I remember. And I know obviously people who do get it say sometimes it can be scary because you're sort of conscious but you can't move because your body's not yet like fully woken up. And then because you're in that weird sort of state where your mind's not quite fully there either. Sometimes you hallucinate things. So my assumption here is there's two things that the writer of this had in mind: sleep paralysis combined with body horror. So that's kind of a creepy one, yeah. Even though it's safe, because technically nothing happens unless you sleep in it. You can still see how that would potentially spread very wildly, in, say, like a big apartment complex, something like that. So, cool. That's a creepy one. That's a good one. 073, quote-unquote, Kane. Euclid, this one. Containment procedures. 073 is to be kept in a 2-room cell, furnished with all non-organic furniture and items, and a bathroom. So, let me just sip some tea to keep my throat moist. There we go. Subject is allowed to freely wander the facility and eat in the main canteen. A tracking device has been attached to 073's person and is not to be removed. Subject is disallowed any contact with the surface and is not allowed outside the facility. Subject is allowed no contact with plant-based SCPs under any circumstances. Violence is not to be used against 073 under any circumstances. 073 is currently kept in Site 17. Okay, interesting. So they're sort of allowed to wander about in the facility, which... curious, but let's see. Description: 073 appears to be a heavily tanned male of Arabic or Middle Eastern descent in his early 30s, 185 centimetres, 6'1" tall, and 75 kilograms or 165 pounds, with black hair and blue eyes. Arms, legs, spinal cord and shoulder blades of the subject appear to have been replaced with artificial versions of unknown make and metal. Subject only takes notice of this when it is pointed out, and states that it has no knowledge of how, why, or when these replacements took place, stating that it had them as long as it could remember. There is a symbol engraved into the forehead of the subject, which appears to be of Sumerian origin. Symbol has of yet been untranslated, and subject appears distressed when the symbol is mentioned at all, refusing to speak on it. Subject does need to eat and drink on a regular basis, but is strictly carnivorous, owing to its effect on plant-based items. 073, who refers to itself as Kane, is generally polite and genial to all who speak to it, though it has been described as being cold and somewhat mechanical in its speech. It is very helpful, and enjoys aiding personnel in their daily actions, whatever they may be. It has highly detailed knowledge of ancient to recent events in history, the most commonly spoken languages in the world, including ones that have since died out. Subject has professed to having a photographic memory, remembering word for word all text in an 800-page dictionary that was flicked through in a minute and a half. It has scored above average in all intelligence tests given to it. 073's presence is inimical to any and all life grown in soil, causing death to any such life within a 20-metre radius. Any land 073 has walked on, and any within the 20-metre radius, becomes barren as all anaerobic bacteria dies, rendering the soil incapable of supporting life until new bacteria are introduced. Anything that is derived from soil-grown life, such as wood and paper, immediately rots and disintegrates upon touch of 073. Further affected derivatives include anything hydroponically grown. Violence directed towards 073 reflects any damage inflicted on 073 directly back onto the attacker, although 073 visibly remains unharmed. This applies to any damage directed at 073. Attempts to get tissue and blood samples have proven futile. When the procedure was initiated, personnel carrying out the action felt the sensation of whatever was applied to 073 and wound up with a sample of their own blood or tissue, despite the fact that all actions were directed solely at 073. Indirect damage through a medium also results in the person perpetrating the action receiving the wounds caused. Although 073 receives no actual harm from damage to its person, it has stated that it still feels the pain of the action, and has politely asked researchers to abstain from overly harmful actions to its person. Additional notes: 073 was found in the New York Police Department in 19 blank, having been taken in after subject had been found amidst the bodies of several violent gang members. 073 told police members that the gang had attempted to make sport of it, but became angry and attempted to kill 073, resulting in their own demise. 073 was incarcerated and was deemed a John Doe when NYPD could not find any information on it. 073 came to the attention of the Foundation through a routine inspection of John Doe's and was subsequently released into our custody. Addendum 073-1. Examination of the unidentified metal on 073 has suggested that it is beryllium bronze, a metal that has been documented as being utilised by various anomalous cultures and entities. Most notably, beryllium bronze is a component found in SCP-1216, 1427, 2481 and 2711. In light of this discovery, the Foundation began working in an attempt to trace the origin of beryllium bronze and how it initially spread throughout the world. When prompted, 073 was able to provide information that suggests that beryllium bronze originated in the Middle East, though the exact point of origin is yet to be determined. Further research into the origin of beryllium bronze is currently ongoing. Addendum 073-2. In light of 073's indestructible nature, photographic memory and general will to please, High Command have deemed that all information is to be backed up on 073, ensuring it is not lost in the event of catastrophe. While this action is met with mixed responses, 073 has agreed and sworn itself to secrecy on its part. Addendum 073-3. When information concerning SCP-076 was brought to the attention of 073 for backing up, the subject showed familiarity with the information, although was disinclined to adding to it, despite the fact that it stated that it already knew all about 076. It then stated it would be better for all parties involved that it not meet 076. Interesting. Well, 076 is literally just a couple of SCPs away. We'll probably be touching on that this episode. Okay, so basically, Strange Man has weird metal parts made from strange metal. He causes all plant life within a certain radius to die, and basically has super intelligence. And also, any physical attempt to harm him, it direct or indirect, reflects back on the person trying to do the harm. Okay, so it's interesting that he's called Cain, because obviously that's a biblical reference. I'm going to be honest though, I cannot off the top of my head remember what the story of Cain was in the Bible, because I know there was Cain and Abel, and it was one of them who killed the other, was it not? Something like that? I can't remember. I don't know. I mean, we're talking Old Testament here, which I don't really know a lot about, so I'm sure people in the comments maybe have a better idea of that and all that. Oh, I've just realised that 076 is literally called Abel, so we'll get to that in a moment. 074, the Quantum Woodlouse. Euclid. Updated file. Containment procedures. 074 is contained at Site 81. Sorry, I'm just drinking tea again. 074 is an active info hazard. No research in evaluating its anomalous properties is to be conducted. All personnel who have previously engaged in research into 074's anomalous properties, who have a post-secondary or greater education in physics, or who have accessed Archive 074-317E, must never come within 5 kilometres of 074. 074 is contained within a 6 metre by 6 metre by 3 metre reinforced glass chamber. Footnote, a smaller containment chamber significantly increases the probability of 074 spontaneously breaching primary containment. Filtered to block all ultraviolet light, and situated within a windowless room lit by monochromatic safe lights, which serves as secondary containment. The containment chamber is to be surrounded with scaffolds bearing sheets of live, cultured human skin, held parallel to the surfaces of the containment chamber, and arranged overlapping each other such that lateral coverage is at least 95%. Skin sheets must be a minimum of 3 mm thick and warmed to 37 degrees Celsius. They must be grown from samples provided by D-class personnel with no less than a middle school education and no more than a high school education. All skin sheets are to be examined on a daily basis for instances of 074-1. All instances of 074-1 are to be excised and incinerated. 074 is to be fed 75 grams of fresh shredded apple, genus Malus, leaves, bark and fruit, hydroponically grown to ensure lack of pollutants and foreign organisms once a day via a mechanical dispenser. In the event of a spontaneous containment breach, personnel can coerce 074 into returning to its containment by first occupying each of its 4 sets of jaws with an entire raw apple, then physically pushing 074 in the desired direction, gently tapping its compound eyes with an open palm, or spraying its front pair of antennae with a 0.5% solution of methanoic acid. Okay, weird. Skin sheets. Already sounds a bit grisly. Description: 074 is an anomalous organism which uses various quantum properties at a macroscopic scale, and in other ways modifies the standard laws of physics within its immediate vicinity. The specific nature of these modifications appears to be linked to the extent to which humans in 074's vicinity are aware of the precise details of the physical laws which 074 modifies, such that research to determine whether 074 has a given property or capability results in 074 developing or manifesting that property or capability. Archive 074-317E, a full list of the anomalous physical phenomena known to be or to have been associated with 074, is available to personnel level 3 or higher. Personnel who access this document will be disqualified from working with 074, or for any other reason, coming within 5 kilometres of Site 81. 074 has repeatedly manifested the ability to spontaneously materialise at locations as much as 3 metres outside its primary containment. This is believed to be, or to be analogous to, quantum tunnelling. Foundation entomologists have tentatively identified 074 as belonging to the order Isopoda, commonly known as a woodlouse. Its inertial mass is approximately 1,700 kilograms, but its gravitational mass is approximately 375 grams. Its volume has been estimated at 1.7 cubic metres, approximately the size of a compact car. Yeah, I was about to say, it's a giant woodlouse with weird properties. 074 is female. Footnote 2, although it lacks the typical isopod marsupium or brood pouch in which eggs are incubated, and parthenogenetic. Periodically, approximately 1.3 times per hour when 074 is shielded from ultraviolet light, approximately 29.2 times per hour when 074 is exposed to unfiltered daylight, the globular organ at the tip of its ovipositor luminesces and emits what was originally thought to be a form of non-ionising radiation, but which has since been identified as coherent wave packets. There's a lot of footnotes in this one. Personnel who probably understand the concept of wave packets are disqualified from working with 074. Coherent wave packets offer the probability of one of 074's self-fertilised eggs, henceforth 074-1, reifying, literally becoming a thing, that is spontaneously coming into existence. Instances of 074-1 preferentially reify and incubate within the flesh of humans with knowledge of physics. The rudimentary knowledge of physics, which even poorly educated adult citizens of a technological civilization... Sorry, I'm getting... hiccups. Poorly educated adult citizens of a technological civilization can acquire via cultural osmosis. For example, magnets can attract or repel each other, matter is made of atoms, light has a speed, appears to be sufficient. In the absence of suitable humans to serve as hosts, the wave packets will reify within other organisms or within inanimate objects. However, rather than incubating, the eggs will wither and die, leaving perforations similar to radiation damage at a macroscopic scale. The wave packets appear to decay over time, as no wave packets or instances of wave packet-related damage have been detected at distances greater than approximately 400 metres from 074. The rate at which successfully incubated instances of 074-1 mature appears to be dependent on the host's exposure to ultraviolet light. Within a host exposed to an average of 30 minutes of unfiltered sunlight per day for a month, an instance of 074-1 was observed to grow from 2 milligrams to 8 kilograms, at which point it was surgically excised and killed, whereas within a host totally isolated from natural light for a month, the 3 simultaneous instances reached sizes at excision of only 600 grams, 680 grams and 710 grams. The complete developmental history and life cycle of 074-1, including how they emerge from their host and their size at emergence, is not yet known. Okay, what a weird one that is. Teleporting woodlouse, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very peculiar. 075, the corrosive snail. Oh, we're going for another another animal-based one, to put it that way. Ugh. Oh, is that like a fucking weird claw? Okay. SCP-075, photo by Dr. Takeshi Yamada, who has a website on Weebly, apparently. Euclid. Containment procedures. 075 is contained in a 1 by 1 by 1 metre level 4 corrosion-resistant chamber, container even, which must be contained in a secure chamber with equal corrosion resistance. The absolute humidity of the chamber may not exceed 1% at any time. Medicinal-grade desiccants must be available at all times in order to maintain this level of humidity. If the humidity of 075's chamber ever exceeds 1%, all personnel are to be evacuated immediately, and the site will be locked down until the humidity is reduced to acceptable levels. All personnel who enter 075's containment chamber must wear MOPP Level 4 protection. Injection tests, as well as any test which involves an aqueous solution, are strictly forbidden. If any such solution comes into contact with 075, the area will be immediately locked down and flooded with desiccant until the humidity is brought back to acceptable levels. Evacuation of personnel remaining in the area is prohibited. Okay, so weird snail monster. Description: 075 resembles a large snail 20 centimeters in length, 13 centimeters in width, and 15 centimeters in height, with a muscular foot resembling a six-fingered clawed hand. 075 is exceptionally heavy even, with a mass of approximately 860 kilograms, a property that is not understood. Desiccation is the only known means of containing 075, as it will enter a dormant state when nearly completely dry. When not desiccated, 075 moves at incredible speeds for its size and mass. It adopts the behaviour of a predator, jumping at and drenching its prey in a highly caustic base solution secreted from pores on its foot. These secretions are more corrosive than any substance known to terrestrial science. Due to 075's aggressive behaviour when active, this compound cannot be harvested. No material completely resistant to its corrosive power has been found. Addendum 075-F. Attempts to harvest 075 secretions must be approved and supervised by all on-site Level 4 personnel. However, approval of said personnel cannot override the standing order to not introduce any liquid solution to 075, including its own secretions. Addendum 075-G. A cup of 075 secretions was successfully harvested by using SCP-094. Testing is underway to determine what substances, if any, are immune to its corrosion. Testing is also underway to determine why the cup provided by 294 is immune to the substance's effects. Okay, so creepy snail, very dangerous. You've got to keep it desiccated or near completely dry, otherwise it will fuck everyone up, basically. Okay, weird one. So now we come to 076, Able. So let's think carefully about how this might relate to Kane. It sounds like it probably does. From Dr. Blank to Director Maria Jones, Record Keeping and Information Security Administration. Subject: revision of SCP-076 SCP file. I have to go on record as saying that I seriously object to the proposed revisions of the 076 Special Containment Procedures file. I know that Redact All Important Stuff already claims it's a security risk, but you and I both know it's just top brass trying to sweep their biggest and most embarrassing mistake ever under the damn rug. Omega 7 happened. It existed. Those people died because you screwed up, and you can't change that no matter how hard you try to hide it. For God's sake, man, those people guarding him deserve to know exactly what he is and what he did, what we did, how we fucked up, so they'll know better. Okay, well this is our first Keter or Keter level object. Containment procedures. Containment Area 25B is to be located 200 metres below sea level. Tunnel out of solid bedrock in a seismologically stable area. Sole access to the containment facility is to be through a vertical elevator shaft separated every 50 metres with a reinforced blast door, constructed of 20 cm thick material shielding. Elevator shaft shall be flooded with seawater when not in use. Containment Area 25B is to be constructed with the following components: an outer security perimeter against outside threats, staffed by security personnel trained in close quarters battle and counter-intrusion tactics; an administrative and support area, ASA, consisting of support facilities and living quarters for on-site personnel; a primary containment zone, or PCZ, consisting of a 7-metre cube encased in 1.5 metres of reinforced material. PCZ is to be designed to be flooded and drained as needed, and should remain filled with seawater unless access to contents is required. A 150-metre killing corridor, which is to be the sole access to the PCZ from the ASA, including water, power, drainage and ventilation lines. The walls and floor of the corridor are to be reinforced in a similar manner to the PCZ, with the addition of an electric deterrence system capable of delivering a 20,000 volt shock. A security station located at the entrance to the killing corridor is to be staffed with no fewer than 3 armed security personnel on watch at any one point in time. Armament is to include, but not be limited to, at least one blank CIW system on a pintle mount with a clear line of sight down the corridor, with a plexiglass screen to protect the operator from thrown weapons. In the event of a full breach, all on-site staff are to proceed immediately to the closest security station for weapons and armour distribution. Staff will remain at Alert Condition 1 until 076-2 is confirmed neutralised. Should 90 minutes pass after declaration of full breach without a stand-down order being given by Level 4 or higher personnel, final contingency measures will be activated, flooding the entire facility in seawater and sealing off the access shaft for a minimum of 24 hours before retrieval is attempted. This will, by necessity, result in the deaths of all on-site staff. Okay, well this thing is pretty dangerous. Now, I just had a thought. I think I might know what this one is. I may have read this one years ago. Is this, without looking at the description, is this cube thing that has like a dude who comes out of it and he's like heavily armed and really dangerous? Something like that? Let's see. Description: 076 consists of two components, a stone cube, 076-1, and a humanoid entity contained within 076-2. 076-1 is a 3-metre cube made of black speckled metamorphic stone. More tea, please, Vicar. All surfaces outside and within 076-1 are covered in deeply engraved patterns corresponding to no known civilizations. Radioisotope analysis indicates that the object is approximately 10,000 years old. A door is located on one side, sealed with a lock 0.5 metres in width, surrounded by 20 smaller locks in a circular pattern. As of yet, none of the keys have been found, making the door impossible to lock once closed. Interior temperature is approximately 93 Kelvin and cannot be altered by any means, internal or external. Directly in the centre of the room is a 2.13 metre tall stone coffin, held in place and sealed shut by several chains of unknown make and substance, which are attached to the inner corners of 076-1. 076-2 resembles a lean Semitic human male in his late 20s. Hair is black and eyes are grey, skin tone olive. Subject is 1.96 metres in height and 81.65 kilograms in weight. Numerous tattoos depicting arcane and occult iconography are present all over the body, mostly in the form of leering demonic faces, and ranges from subtle to openly ostentatious. Subject, when encased within 076-1, is technically dead. However, occasionally 076-2 will awaken, effectively reanimating, complete with all vital processes needed to sustain a living human being. Subject will then attempt to leave 076-1. If successful, subject will enter a trance state and seek out the nearest human being, ignoring all other living things in the process. Upon coming into contact with living humans, 076-2 will enter a rage state, in which it attempts to engage and kill all human beings encountered. To date, only the subject's death has been shown to be effective in ending these rampages. Terminating 076-2 is often problematic due to its significant physical abilities. Subject is superhuman strength and speed, and although not invulnerable, has shown a remarkable ability to ignore pain and shock, pressing on despite what would be debilitating wounds in normal humans. Prior encounters have shown that 076-2 has the ability to, among other things, rip through a reinforced steel security door over the course of 4 minutes of sustained assault, clear over 64 metres of distance in under 3 seconds, take multiple .50 caliber BMG rounds to the head and survive for several minutes to continue killing, despite severe damage to the cerebellum, swat handgun and assault rifle caliber bullets out of the air with a length of steel rebar, survive for over 1 hour, had to swallow them, deprived of oxygen before finally asphyxiating. 076-2's most unusual ability, however, is its ability to apparently materialise bladed weapons out of nowhere. Slow-motion video footage reveals that the blades in question are actually pulled from a miniature dimensional rift described as a small hole in space. Where this portal leads is unknown, as is how 076-2 is capable of generating said rifts. Footage of the blades in question shows them to be made out of a completely non-reflective black material, appearing as a black void in space. As the blades rapidly vanish after leaving the subject's possession, no structural analysis is possible at this time. 076-2 has effectively been killed several times in various manners: sustained fire from multiple heavy caliber machine guns, asphyxiation, crushed beneath a 13.6 metric ton piece of elevator equipment for use on 076-1, cremation through the use of a thermate TH3 grenade placed directly inside 076-2's open chest cavity. During the worst breach to date, Containment Area 25, which previously housed 076, was forced to detonate its on-site warhead as a last attempt to contain 076-2 while it was attempting escape, resulting in total destruction of the site and all on-site personnel. 076-1 survived. Upon death, 076-2's remains will putrefy rapidly until reduced to dust. 076-1 and the coffin within will then slam shut with great force, and the lock will rotate, sealing it shut. 076-2 will then reform within the coffin, a process taking anywhere from 6 hours to 25 years. What posthumous analysis of 076-2 exists shows that it has an internal system highly different from our own, documented in data expunged. Yes, I do remember this. This is the dude who's like fucking super powered, ridiculous. I always remember reading this back in the day and thinking I never knew how to feel about this one, because the thing about SCPs is you want, especially humanoid SCPs, you want them to be anomalous. You don't want people with superpowers, because people with superpowers, you're basically turning them into superheroes, and to me that's not really what SCPs are meant to be. So I feel like very much this one is kind of pushing it a bit, pushing that boundary. So Additional, 076 was found in blank Mongolia in 18 blank by archaeologists from England. All members of the expedition were subsequently killed on the return voyage home. 076 was recovered from the ship blank by the Blank Society, one of the organisations that later merged into the modern Global Occult Coalition, and placed on display in their inner sanctum. 076 remained in storage for blank years until 076-2 became active and escaped on blank. The reason for 076's activation is currently unknown, but it was at this point that the keys to the outer shell were lost. A massive manhunt, lasting over 3 years and blank, took place until 076-2 was incapacitated by blank, killing it and causing it to reform inside 076-1, by then retrieved and secured by agents of the SCP Foundation. Subject was in custody for 3 more years under constant supervision, was terminated whenever it became active, although it occasionally was able to escape for short periods of time, often due to security breaches caused by attacks from other organisations. The Foundation's death toll due to this was data expunged, 2 more data expunged. After the last incident, the current procedures regarding 076 were implemented, although they are upgraded regularly with the increase in technological standards. Addendum 072 Project Able and Mobile Task Force Omega 7. How big is this? Ooh, this is a big one. Okay, sure, we'll read then. Mobile Task Force Omega 7 incident log even. From Director Maria Jones, Record Keeping and Information Security Administration, to all Level 4 administrators. Subject: RISA update to Security Protocol Re, Supplemental Information Re, SCP-076, file name Addendum 076-1, Project Able and Mobile Task Force Omega 7, prior classification 05, new classification Level 3 need to know basis, effective date blank. Psychological profile of Subject 076-2. 076-2 either possesses a mind constructed much differently from our own, or than our own even, or is completely insane, with little empathy or ideas in a way we would understand it. Concepts such as sex, love and equality are completely foreign ideas to -2, or at least in comparison to its way of viewing them. Subject has shown that he is completely disinterested in sex, barely differentiating between genders, except as a form of visual identification. Also, while Subject has admitted greatly enjoying the act of killing, causing pain, either emotionally or physically, holds no attraction to it, in short, a perfect sociopath. Intelligence tests have been wildly inconclusive when applied to -2, and no accurate result has yet been obtained. This may be due to the alien thought processes of this subject. -2 has, however, shown that it has great knowledge of human anatomy, although in a highly violent context, military tactics of open warfare, metallurgy, and strangely enough, the care of livestock. Subject has knowledge of several languages, including English, but most notable is its knowledge of several dialects of ancient Sumerian, which seem to be its preferred language. 076 has nothing but contempt for human beings, with one exception. It seems to hold a wary respect for those it acknowledges as its superior. This was discovered when Agent Blank, an agent who had previously had a large amount of experience with -2, did not appear once it escaped. Subject seemed distressed, asking several personnel where Agent Blank was hiding. When it finally did learn of the fate of Agent Blank, killed as collateral damage in an airstrike intended to halt the advance of SCP Blank, -2 stopped its rampage and allowed itself to be escorted and restrained. Subject was then interviewed on the sudden drastic changes in its behaviour. Begin log, Dr. Blank. Why are you so interested in the death of Agent Blank? -2 begins swearing in ancient Sumerian. Why does his death bother you? You've killed many humans before. Why is he so... is cut off by -2. Now speaking in English, different. Because unlike you, Sumerian word untranslated, he was a challenge, a real enemy. Why would that be good for you? Every time you have awoken, you've tried to escape. He was responsible for apprehending you several times. Surely you must be glad he's dead? I would hardly expect you to understand. Do you know, he managed to shoot me in the head over blank times. A man like that deserves to die in combat, so close to his opponent he can feel his breath. Not in some, Sumerian words untranslated, destruction ordered by cowardly kings and princes, safe in their palaces. The rest of you, -2 spits, you disgust me. I don't even have the urge to strike you down. Subject is silent from then on, refusing to speak or respond. He's a bit of a fucking edgelord, this one, isn't he? This indicates a possible psychological inlet into -2's mind and a possible control mechanism. Given the massive drain on resources -2 causes due to its escape attempts, and considering Bow Commission's stated desire to weaponize SCP objects for tactical purposes, I recommend that we pursue this course of action as soon as possible. Dr. P. Blank G. Blank. From Dr. Blank to Dr. P. Blank G. Blank, Project Omega 7. Subject blank. He said yes blank. They were trying to weaponise him, weren't they? Project proposal: Mobile Task Force Omega 7, Pandora's Box. Mission statement: support of -2 able in the field in high-risk tactical situations. Task Force organisation: Task Force Special Officer able, Task Force Leader blank, 10 to 20 field agents divided into 5 teams of 3 to 5 each. Members of the team are to be personally selected from elite field agents by Subject Able himself in order to maintain a smoother relationship between the artefact and the mundane elements of the task force. Gotta drink up my tea, it's getting lukewarm. Security protocol: 076-2 Able is to wear a device attached to the neck that, if triggered or tampered with, will immediately detonate, terminating -2 by way of complete destruction of the spinal cord, trachea, and all major blood vessels in the neck. A tracking device has also been attached to -2's person. It is to refrain from killing unless ordered to do so, and is to avoid causing damage to the organisation's facilities. Armament and equipment: team members are to be armed and equipped in accordance with MTF doctrine. As Able has shown no inclination to use firearms, or in fact no understanding of their use or tactical implications, he is instead to be armed with one or more edged melee weapons of his choice. Addendum: for God's sake, blank, find these guys something to do. Abel's getting bored and he started putting his team through live fire exercises. They get bullets, he gets training weapons. Have you ever seen someone break a man's jaw using a Nerf sword? He's not going to stop until someone gets killed. Dr. Blank. Report by Dr. P. Blank G. Blank, Project Omega 7. In light of -2's proficient use of the Sumerian language, researchers have asked it to translate several documents. While it originally replied with disinterest, it has translated some of the documents it found worthy of its attention. Most of the documents chosen by -2 were regarding battles or legendary heroes, one of its favourites in particular being the Epic of Gilgamesh. However, one researcher presented it with a symbol from 073. Aha, here we go, here's the connection. Upon sight of this, -2 became highly enraged, killing several of the researchers before its kill switch could be activated. When revived and questioned about this, -2 responded aggressively, and that line of questioning was immediately dropped. It is recommended anything pertaining to 073 never be brought to the attention of 076-2, and that the two are never to be in the same facility. Addendum 076-07. Recently, SCP-075 has been accepted into Mobile Task Force Omega 7, having beaten 076-2 in a contest to see which of the two could activate several devices, each spaced over a mile away from each other and the starting point. I think I know which one 105 is. Spoiler, but isn't 105 a girl who has a camera, and I think she can see things in her photographs? It's like her photographs are animated or something. Something like that. I think that's what it is. I think her name's Iris, something. I think I might have read the article of that one before, but we'll get to that, of course, in the coming episodes. 105 managed to score significantly higher than 076-2 by using her inherent abilities to her advantage. -2 ceded defeat and allowed her entry into the group. Addendum 076-09, proposed introduction of -2 to 682 put on indefinite hold. Those with security clearance level 4 or higher may request access to contingency 076-2 #3. Addendum 076-23. Per the request of the BOW Commission, Mobile Task Force Omega 7 is to be fielded in the blank region of blank against data expunged. From Dr. Blank to Dr. P. Blank G. Blank, Project Omega 7, subject: don't do it, P. Blank. Blank, for God's sake, don't do it. It's bad enough that they're trying to weaponise Iris too. Don't let the military bully us into doing their dirty work against some sand farmers in blank. From General Blank Bow Blank to Dr. Blank Blank, Project Omega 7, subject: a job well done. Excellent work, Doctor. The mission went exactly as expected. We'll be calling you again if we need your help. General Blank Bow Blank. From Dr. Blank to PG, Project Omega 7, subject: I hope you're fucking proud of yourself, motherfucker. Hello.jpg, because you're a bigger asshole than this guy. Oof. From Dr. P. Blank G. Blank to Omega 7 team, reassignment. As of this moment, Dr. Blank has been reassigned to 682 as level 1 personnel. Oh, someone got petty revenge on him then. Data expunged. From Dr. P. Blank G. Blank, that's what I'm going to keep calling him. Project Omega 7 to General Bow, subject: problems, data expunged. Despite our best efforts, Subject Able is proving difficult to control. All our attempts to keep him engaged have been more or less unsuccessful. Problem is, he's a perfect killing machine, and that's all he wants to do, which seems like exactly what we wanted, but the problem is we can't seem to turn him off. Data expunged. I'm running out of missions to give him, and the ones I've got left aren't engaging him mentally. He's starting to lash out at the other team members. It's only a matter of time before something goes wrong. Requesting permission to discontinue the project and neutralise Able temporarily until we can find something more for him to do. From General Bow to Dr. P. Blank G. Blank, Read the problems. Unacceptable. Neutralising subject Able at this point is going to cause an unacceptable delay. We'll have another mission for you within a couple of weeks. All we have to do is keep him busy until then. Send him on vacation or something. From Dr. P blank G blank to all staff, subject alert. This is an automated alert. -2 has disabled the explosive collar failsafe and gone out of control. All staff to high alert. Further requests as events warrant. From automated defence system, containment area 25 to all sites. Final option engaged. This is an automated message. Do not reply. As of blank, containment area 25 has engaged its on-site nuclear warhead on 10-minute countdown. From O5 command to all sites. Containment area 25 final option response. As of blank, containment area 25 has been destroyed by detonation of its on-site nuclear warhead. Site 67-68 are to activate the FEMA protocol and secure the location as soon as possible. Official cover story will be released by RISA to all personnel once drafted. Revised psychological profile of -2. -2 either possesses a mind constructed much... hiccups again. There we are. Constructed much differently than our own, or is completely insane with little empathy or ideas in a way we would understand it. Concepts such as sex, love and equality are completely foreign ideas to -2, or at least in comparison to its way of viewing them. Subject has shown that it's completely disinterested in sex, barely differentiating between genders except as a form of visual identification. Also, while subject seems to greatly enjoy the act of killing, causing pain, either emotionally or physically, holds no attraction to it. Intelligence tests have been wildly inconclusive when applied to 076-2, and no accurate result has yet been obtained. This is due to the fact that no communication is possible with the subject when in its rage state. Subject displays knowledge of several languages including English, but most notable is its knowledge of several dialects of ancient Sumerian, which seem to be its preferred language. 076 has nothing but contempt for human beings and will kill them on sight. No communication is to be attempted with the subject. Okay, well that's the incident that was hinted at the start of the log and all. So wow, quite the story. Yeah, this is a funny one. So like, it feels a bit like it is, to me at least, pushing a bit too close to superhero levels of power rather than anomaly. Though I suppose it doesn't quite fully stray into that territory. It is anomalous, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why, but when I was reading that article, I kept picturing 076-2 in my head as being some sort of neckbeard nerd who's really into katanas and has all kinds of like wolf tattoos all over him. That's the way to belittle it, ladies and gentlemen. Shall we do one more, the Rot Skull? Let's do one more then, acknowledging that I need to log into Discord very soon to join Phil. Okay, Euclid. Containment procedures: 077 is to be kept in research sector 861 on top of a 0.5 metre steel pedestal in a 3x3x3 metre chamber with 0.5 metre thick steel reinforced walls. The reinforced steel hatch door to the chamber is to comply with AH-37 protocol and is to be guarded at all times by 2 level 1 personnel. A boom mic connected to a speech recognition system should verify that all pronunciation is within standards. A camera is to be mounted within the chamber to record any changes. Every 8 hours, a minimum of 2, but preferably 3, trained D-class personnel are to enter the containment area and in a loud, clear voice read the runes etched onto 077 in unison. The reading must be performed by individuals who understand the full meaning of the runes being read, who are able to pronounce the entirety of the inscription correctly, and who are no more than 30 centimetres away from 077. All personnel must undergo a 1-week training session with foundation linguists for pronunciation, reading and dialect coaching. A minimum of 20 D-class personnel are to be trained or undergoing training at all times. Trained D-class personnel are exempt from termination until such time as they have been replaced. Foundation linguists are to remain on call in case of an unexpected rune change. Every new set of runes is to be transcribed into phonetic English and provided with literal and idiomatic translations as quickly as possible. See documents 077 blank through blank for archived translations. The cafeteria menu for Research Sector 861 must not include any potatoes or potato-based ingredients. Okay, that's a weird final line on the containment procedures, but sure. 077 appears to be the top half of a human skull engraved with runes, each filled with an unidentified black resin. The runes change every lunar month, defined by the full moon rising above the horizon in Ireland, as well as at the winter and summer solstices, the spring and autumn equinoxes, and whenever a partial, annular or total solar or lunar eclipse is visible from Ireland. If these engravings are not read aloud at least once within a 24-hour period, the eye sockets and nasal cavity of 077 will emit 077-1. -1 is a luminescent green vapour whose precise nature remains undetermined. It is to be noted that, although 077-1 behaves as a normal gas in all other ways, it only occupies those spaces which are within 077's effective line of sight, and does not flow into the space behind 077 unless confined. Opaque, impermeable barriers with no biological content can provide temporary protection from -1. However, attempts to permanently contain 077 within opaque containers have failed, due to the artifact's production of sufficient quantities of -1 to explosively rupture these containers. All biological material, with the obvious exception of 077 itself, which comes in contact with 077-1, is instantly transformed into a viscous, malodorous ooze. The ooze has been identified as the rotted flesh of potato tubers, Solanum tuberosum, which have been swiftly infected with the potato blight, Phytophthora infestans. Don't know if I pronounced that correctly. 1 cubic centimetre of -1 transforms upwards of 800 grams of biological material. Reading 077's engravings has notable, if transient, effects on the health of the readers. These effects include nausea, cramps, headache, dizziness, incontinence, fever, skin rashes, nosebleeds, and fugue states. Effects intensify as the time between readings increases, and can become cumulative for individuals who read the engravings too many times consecutively and/or too frequently. Readers have a 60% chance of developing an allergy to potatoes. Addendum 077-01. The artefact was recovered from blank in the village of Redacted in Ireland. Locals had built a shrine around the artefact where upwards of Redacted participants would engage in a nightly ritual. Fragmentary historical documents, retrieved from the remnants of the village church, see Archive 077-1576, and library, see Archive 077-1582, indicate that the artefact existed as early as 1848, at which point in time it is described in highly positive terms, including protector and provider, which is a link to SCP-1689 apparently. By 1869, however, references to the artefact are fearful, resentful, and couched in euphemism. Okay, so dangerous school. You got to read a bedtime story to it every night, every day, otherwise it gasses everyone alive. Oh, weird. Okay. So I think we'll probably start wrapping up this episode of SCP here, ladies and gents. So we've got through a good number of them there. Now I need to go and actually text Phil and start arranging for our recording session, where we may well do some more SCP and continue on. So yeah, there were definitely some curious ones in there. I think for me the creepiest one has got to be 072, the foot of the bed. Like, that's clearly based on sleep paralysis and hallucinations, and it's also a bit of body horror, so that's quite a nasty one, where it puts you in a position where you cannot resist at all as it gets you. So that one, yeah, I think that for me that's the creepiest one in there. But also I think the corrosive snail probably is quite a nasty, dangerous one too. Like I say, Abel for me, yeah, I mean, he's dangerous and all that, but again, I feel like he's a character who is sort of not quite straying into superpower territory, but I feel like he's pushing the boundary a bit of what I would sort of say is, you know, getting beyond an anomaly and just straight up into, you know, overpowered superpower territory, to put it that way. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we got through quite a few of them there, and read all about Ambrose in London and their menu, so yes, let me know your menu choices down in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, I'm going to wrap up here, so social media links, propagandist channel link, as usual, are down in the video description for anyone interested. If you enjoyed, a like is of course always appreciated. Join me for more SCP, hopefully sometime soon. We're getting close to 100, and you know, once we get up there, we're getting into some good territory up there, so join me for that. But other than that, time for me to sign off now. Goodbye, everybody. Alright, dude. I mean, to be fair, pro tag, you don't really have much to go, so you can't just start throwing allegations and all that. You have some evidence to back it up. Oh, you want a drink? A little drink? I'm going to take that as a no. You don't want a drink? Okay, that's all she seems to really do. She just sort of like, she appears and then, you know, she makes that noise. Another lady, okay. You're a different lady. G'day, did my son maybe come by here earlier? Yes, he did. He said he was scared. I gave him some cookies and he left. He's scared of a lady in a dress. I don't know how to calm him down. Maybe the nurse can help. I'm not sure I can trust anybody on this train. Can I get a glass of red wine?